Okay, my friends, I'm going to ask you for a thumbs up. I need you to thumbs up, share, speak about this stuff. If you can come up with any explanation other than I am bringing you about these things being life, I'd like to understand it and hear it and be interviewed and talk about this with experts. So let's get into the video, but please, a thumbs up, share, speak. This is reality, and this is the reality where we should be living in it, and it's refused at the moment. Hello, my friends. I have been doing some videos on all kinds of different things, and I noticed very, very few views on most of them. But the ones that I do about geology and the people that are out doing exploring, like this is POV channel, very, very good guy. And he goes out, and he spent a week approximately, or 4 days, something like that, out finding places that almost nobody's been to. The complexity of the Grand Canyon is beyond anybody's rational belief. It's an irrational place. It's a place that you can't understand until you get to the point that you can look at something like this and you realize what it really is. And all of this stuff is something that we can explain, but we have to look at it carefully. Now, the one I did yesterday got, for me, a lot of hits, which for everybody else is not a lot of hits, but for me it was a lot. And everybody was pretty happy with the video. So I'm going to start doing more of these, following these guys around, because they're going right out on site. And but my problem is that they see something and they go right past it because they're not thinking the way I'm thinking. I'm thinking geology and biology. How did these formations form? How did that happen? Who can explain that? And there's a magma intrusion, extrusion, illusion, whatever you want to call it. It's almost always ends up being magma. I mean, that's like the excuse du jour. Anyway, we're going to go in and look at this. And again, this is POV channel, the POV channel. Good guy. I'd love to have some of these guys take a look at things that are of biological interest. Let me just leave it at that. Okay, my friends, I'm going to make a couple of statements about this. You see these lines right here? You see that? And then you see these little breaks coming down here and break. This is fibers. And these are membranes. Now, I'm not sure where this is, but it's in the creature's body. Now, this is the one thing that I have almost never seen. I have one single bone that has a bit of a bone in it, and I believe this is what this is a bone. You almost never see these. Somehow they just withered away during the Great Flood. But this one here, you can see the base of it. You see how perfect that base is? That bone is like anchored right into some body part. And then that bone looks to me like it was either a bone ball attached and then coming out. I don't know. But this does not look like the texture of any other biological material that I know of, or that I have seen, let me put it that way. And I've looked at almost every one of them, and I've seen what the texture is. You see that base? You see how perfectly surrounding that base is? Nobody put that base there. I doubt very much. That's the kind of thing I would like to have somebody on site. Look, now, I think the bone central came right out of here. And there was tendons around here, and they washed away or whatever. But this is, to me, I mean, I can't believe that you can see this and these lines and so forth, and now understand that this is biology. Okay, this is the POV channel, and he is looking at anomalies, things that nobody can really explain, and these patterns and what's going on with that. And then he focuses way in and he looks and he sees some things he can't understand, and then he actually physically goes there. Now, I am much too old to go there myself, so I am just commenting on the things that he's seeing. Now, he's not looking through Mudfossil Eyes, he's looking at just the awe of creation. I am looking through Mudfossil Eyes, and I can tell you what this stuff is, and it is biology. And I would love to be able to work with some people that actually physically go there and ask them questions about, can you look at this, what do you see here, can you take a sample of this, that, so forth. But I'm going to show you anatomically the things that are in this area and the things that he is seeing and what they actually represent biologically, because there is nothing but biology. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. I never would have considered this ever 15 years ago. But it's just the evidence just kept building and building, and now it's so it's just unresolvable in any other way, other than it's just nothing but biology in space, on Earth, the planets, everything. Even the sun gives off the same chemistry as if you cooked a steak. I'm not kidding you. The same stuff is coming out, and they say space smells like steak. That's what the astronauts say. When they go off, they go out for a spacewalk, and they come back and they take their suits off, and they say the suit smells like a sirloin. Okay, he's saying that everybody knows about the Grand Canyon, but nobody really knows about it, because most of it nobody could ever see unless you can get down into it. Now, I can see just what he's showing here. These are layers of tissue. And the number of layers of tissue that are in the human body or in any creature's body is staggering. The doctors have no idea of how many layers of tissue there are. When they say there's 3, 4, 5, 10, 8 layers, no. There's hundreds of thousands of layers. And we're just right at the very tip of the top. This goes down. It's just unbelievable how layered creatures' bodies are. Okay, he's saying that nobody knows the Grand Canyon because nobody gets down into 99% of it. They go where the roads are and they see this and that, and everybody goes, wow, and that's it. He's going down inside these crevasses. It's just amazing. I understand what it is just by looking at this. These are layers of tissue, and there's just literally hundreds of thousands of them in the human body. It's just incredible. In any creature's body. I don't know what this creature was, but this is I would say this is the top layer. Boy, it's hard to tell. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a magical mystery tour. We're talking about the Grand Canyon. It's just a huge scar. It's just a gigantic scar where I believe Venus came in and whacked it and pushed a bunch of that stuff down here into Mexico. And really all the way down, some of these glass spheres they are finding down in Peru and so forth, I believe are splash from that. This was an unbelievable impact. Now, what else do we find in this area? Well, why is it brown like that, desert looking, when all this is totally different? Because we're down into the guts. This is the guts of a creature. And wait till I show you this. This guy from a POV channel went out here and was exploring. Now, I decided, well, I'm going to go up and look around at all these different, This is all biology, but it's deep inside the body of the creature. Now, what happened was Venus, and this was recorded in the ancient texts, hit Earth and pushed all that stuff down into Mexico and bounced off. Venus bounced off after doing that. And this was another gigantic creature, apparently. It had to be, because these are the guts. The Vermilion Cliffs and all that stuff is literally the digestive system in this area. And I can easily show you that right here. That's Vermilion Cliffs. This is what they call pillow basalt. What does that mean? It means they can't explain it, and they blame it on volcanoes. This is not a volcano. These are the layers of membrane that absorb through these layers nutrients. This is like in the digestive system. I believe this would be in the small intestine. There's other places like here, or actually I think, I'm not sure, I don't know, but this guy is walking on this stuff, which is the same as this stuff, only this stuff is inside of somebody's body, a creature's body. And this is just laying out there. This is how big this stuff is. We have no idea about what we're living on. This here is in some cave. I can't remember the name of it. It's a huge cave. And they came across these things. And they said, what the hell is going on here with these little balls and all these little pockets? Well, that's in a stomach. You see it? All these balls and these ridges are in a stomach. Everything is biology once you start to look at it and understand it in this way. This guy says, I never saw anything like this. I've never seen anything like this before. This is probably from some secretion, from some organ that's in the body, and it secretes and normally would mix in with the blood system or the lymph or whatever, but here it's balling up. And this is very similar to, inside of the caves, they have the stalactites and stalagmites. That's all that is some kind of an enzyme eating away at the mineral and then dropping down and then collecting down below. That's what they are. We need to start examining biology in a whole new, geology and biology. You learn so much from understanding what these things are. You understand biology as a result of understanding geology. All right, just to impress upon you how many layers of tissue there are. You see these are all different layers of tissue. That's just in this one little area. This thing goes up hundreds and hundreds of feet. And it's this sort of thing right here. This is from some creature. I don't know what kind of creature it is. My good friend Greg Morrison sent this to me, I believe. I haven't heard from Greg in a long time. I'd like to hear from him. But this is the kind of stuff this is. But in every one of these layers, under the microscope, you can tell there's hundreds and hundreds more layers in every single one of these little layers here. One layer here, maybe from here to here, it could be equivalent to one of these tiny little layers here. And then they just keep going on and on. You see this here, this brown color, and this down here? I believe this is a fluid-filled highway. And that's just below the body fat and all that stuff, and I think this is like fat or something. And just below that is a membrane inside your body that has to have immunities, which is under your skin. Everything under you, when you get poked and it goes through and gets into this layer, all your troops come and they attack the thing that's attacking you. That's the fluid-filled highway. Now, when you get sick and you have cancer and stuff like that, something starts to get through here, and there's nothing comes to attack it. You don't have any immunities to come and attack that thing, and then it comes down and grows through the bottom layer. Then it gets down into your body proper, into your flesh, and then it creates tumors. This is the layer, I believe, they call it interstitium now, and that is the layer that has the fluids that control, are your immunities basically, and they're created by enzymes. Enzymes are created by ribosomes. Ribosomes are created by bacteria. So the bottom line is, if you don't have the right bacteria living in here, this fluid-filled highway will not protect you. Something will go right through and that's it. And you need thousands and thousands of different styles of bacteria because they create different styles of enzymes. Without them, you're done. Enzyme, I go over this a lot, but it's very, very important. People don't seem to understand it well. So anyway, that's how many layers in the body. You can't even imagine. It's beyond belief. Okay, he's at the very bottom of the Grand Canyon. He's finding these tunnels. Right, looks like it keeps going. Check it out. There's another hole in the wall, and he's seeing these holes in the wall. They're arteries primarily. So he just entered into that hole, and it just keeps going because it's blood. It was a source of blood. See, he's seeing them all over, and this is at the very bottom of the Grand Canyon. So he's thinking, wow, who would have done that, and how did they do it? See, look at this. There's some more blood supplies. This is right there. There's a layer of tissue from whatever section of the body this was in. I don't know. But I see there's a red blood, and the black is the vein blood. So you got red and black together here. Very easy to see. Okay, once again, just fair use act. I'm commenting on his comments. He said, there's two different types of water here.
The indigenous described them as native and foreign waters.
All right, so the people that actually were there said there's native and foreign waters. Now, again, look at all of these different layers. Look at all those different layers. Now, native and foreign water. So what's the difference?
It's absolutely colossal.
The Colorado and the floods that carve the canyon I'm standing in are foreign waters.
All right, so he's saying that there was something that was probably, in my mind, a rush of so much flooding that it carved these canyons. And it had to go somewhere, and it pushed everything out of the way. I don't believe that's the case, but that's what they're saying, is the foreign waters did this.
They came from far away and passed through without staying.
All right, well, that's the floodwaters. Yes, absolutely could have been. But could it have carved these entire things and washed all this stuff away? Where did it wash to? That's what I want to see. If all of this stuff washed away, where did it wash to? So let's think about that as we go forward here.
If there was any level of flooding, a place like this would become impassable. You can tell because there's...
Look at the layers. Look at the layers. It's unbelievable. So he's talking about the floodwaters.
There's nothing growing, or even any large rocks. It's because the water force gets so powerful and concentrated here. Let go! Woo!
The native waters are those precious waters that exist and slowly emerge from within the bedrock of the...
Okay, those waters are coming up from arteries, literally from arteries. Those are the native waters that are coming up from arteries. Those are the same kind of waters that we drink from. You know, water drifts down through all of these arteries, and it builds up. If you have a lot of water in the system, it'll be up high here in the arteries. If you don't have much, it's going to be down here. If you don't have any, you're done. So that's where the native waters are coming from, is percolated waters that come down and have collected here. Very precious waters.
The canyon itself. It was there for millions of years, and the deeper in you go, the more of it you will find. This is groundwater, completely pure. It is, and always has been, incredibly valuable.
See the water coming out?
Looks like a bird might have gotten munched on right here.
Look at that. This is just biology. It's just 100% biology. Now, what this kind of creature was, I don't know. But it's, and where it is in the body, I also don't know. But it's biology. Look at this.
This is interesting. I've heard of this, but I've never seen it before. So that is all moss that used to be alive. You can see that the spring is...
The whole thing used to be alive, my friend. But that's a blood vessel. There's a tiny little blood vessel coming out, and water's coming out, and something grows on it.
Still running right here. And this used to all be a hanging garden. Now it's bone dry.
That's from where there was an artery, where it runs down here. This is all still bloody-ish.
Never seen such a compelling proof of a spring that dried up. All that brown stuff underneath it, that's all just dead moss.
We all know that moss grows on red blood.
Imagine if you were living in this canyon and you depended on a spring for your survival. Your entire life was focused around one source of water. And then imagine one day it dries up.
Well, there's a lot of things to imagine, but I'm going to let you people watch this yourselves. It's very, very good. All I want to do is talk about the crazy things you see here. That nobody seems to think much. Oh, well, that's just a magma, and there was a flow of this, and an erosion of that, and the most. Well, I'm just going to leave it there. Look at this. This is the type of layering we're talking about. It's staggering. These red chunks here, these are blobs of blood. That's hematite, red blood. Now, I think I showed this before, but just remember that structure at the bottom there is the base, and I believe this is a bone. Very, very unusual. Bones just didn't make it. Something in the chemistry of the flood and the boiling boiled these bones down to broth. This is, if it is a bone, and I believe it is, based on the structure of the base and where it is in this curved, you see this? That's like muscle that was around this bone. That bone would have been in the center, and the muscle would be around it. Now, I have one bone here. This bone is from a bone like this, something like that type of thing. All right, and it's just turned into actual mud fossil, mud rock. But that right there, that spot, that little white dot, is still bone. You can't see it except for in the microscope. And it reminds me of this. I'm going to go with that as bone, and that's one of the first I've ever seen. And because of, like I say, there's a tubular structure that surrounds it. It's quite obvious to see, which would have been the flesh, and the bone was set in the center. Yep, that's exactly what mine looks like in the microscope, that little tiny white dot. Looks exactly like that little fractured looking thing sticking straight up. And this must have died and still had that in the mud, and it protected it from getting turned into total mud like the rest. In the fluids, they get invaded. When they're not in the fluids, when they're inside the mud, They don't get evaded as much. That somehow was in mud for a longer period of time than everything else. Now, to my way of thinking, this could be like some kind of a shoulder sort of thing. Watch what happens as he turns a corner here. This guy's, you better be careful, my friend. I believe this is the outside edge of the bone. And that's the base where it was attached. This stuff looks identical to the stuff that I have in my bone. Now look, there's something going around here, then it goes down this way, and then another direction. It's like your shoulder, and then your arm, and then your body coming down, something along those lines. You see this whole thing going here? There's a whole nother thing going down here.
I could be the first person to stand on top of this in the whole history.
That lived. You know, I just went a little forward, and he's starting to talk about the Hopi and how they consider the Earth ages. And I've been trying to look and think, is there anything you can do to help yourself in the next Earth age, or the next age, whatever it may be, or wherever you go when you pass on? Because everybody does. Everybody dies. Your material body goes. What's left? Is there anything left? Everybody talks about going to heaven and this and that. Well, what goes? And is there knowledge that goes with it? Is there anything that you can take with you? Your body stays here. That's no question about that. Whatever else goes, goes. Now, he's going to be talking about something that's pretty deep here. Let's see. But you see here, the black and the red, this is blood. And these are veins and arteries and so forth everywhere.
You know, flint flakes. There's nothing like that in here. I've been searching.
Boy, is that dry.
It's all just dust. Many of the oral traditions of the tribes who called this place home described cycles of creation, destruction, and renewal. The Wallapai, Havasupai, Southern Paiute, and especially the Puebloan cultures, like the Hopi, tie their origins to the very bottom of the earth. The Hopis consider us to currently exist in the fourth age. The third age ended in a powerful flood when humanity lost its way.
That's exactly what I found. Jupiter, who is Zeus, sent Venus to destroy humanity because he said we made a terrible mistake. They're nothing but bad. They're bad people. We made a big mistake making these people, and they're bad, and there's nothing we can do about it. And they sent the Great Flood, and that was, let's back that up again. Boy, I'll tell you. And again, I appreciate being able to do this, and I know I am able to because of the Fair Use Act. I'm commenting on what he's saying, and I'm not trying to steal anything. And I'm going to give you the link and put the link in somewhere where you can find this video, because it's very interesting to watch. And it's nicely done. It's a great job.
By Southern Paiute, and especially the Puebloan cultures, like the Hopi, tie their origins to the very bottom of the earth. The Hopis consider us to currently exist in the fourth age. The third age ended in a powerful flood when humanity lost its way. The fourth world was reborn in the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
The fourth world was born in the bottom of the Grand Canyon because that's where Venus hit. Yikes.
Another one. That one also dried up.
And a more harmonious fifth world will emerge only after the sunset of the civilization we live in now.
I think that our sun is about to set because there is no civilization. There is just nothing but war, and there has been nothing but war since Jesus Christ came back to warn us that we have to be peaceful. God's not going to accept this kind of nonsense, this destroying everybody and making people live in terrible, terrible conditions and the rich take advantage of the poor, and I mean, it's not good. And that's what happened the last time. Only last time it was even more brutal, when they had the kings and the armies and all over, and they knew there was different types of gods. It's not just one type of God. We want Jesus Christ because he's the one that was actually the Savior, and I agree with that. He came here to save the human gene. This is a lot of genetics going on here to make human people. And originally they had them with all kinds of animal heads and all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, they focused in on a human that could do everything, very, very excellent articulation with fingers and toes and, you know, eyesight, and everything was perfect. And the human being should have been able to live harmoniously with others. It didn't happen, and it still hasn't happened. And I think the Hopi's right. They're going to scrub it clean. See, here he is. Look at the layers are just stunning number of layers. Now he's starting to get deep about the influences of the beliefs and so forth. Let's hear what he has to say.
By the cycles they would witness down here.
He thinks their beliefs.
Fresh, clean water is essential to all life. There's a new threat to our water out west, and it's in the form of buildings as big as the canyon I'm standing in. These buildings require millions of gallons of chemically stable water to cool down their processors. So they have started harvesting it, primarily from the most pure source, groundwater. The very reason for all the life you are seeing. In places where the water table is already dropping, these massive machines will suck the aquifers dry even faster, using anywhere from 2 to 5 million gallons of crystal clear groundwater a day, stealing it from all living things to power a machine.
I've never seen more frogs before in my entire life. 30 of them that just jumped in the water as I'm walking up here. Research what I'm trying to tell you about. It's really important.
In a world where even the water coming from the sky is increasingly contaminated, nothing could be more important than preserving this precious resource.
He's right. He's right. Now he's got a good following. He's got a lot of people. He's talking stuff I like to hear. And once again, here's our layers. Now I'm going to leave it to you to come up and look at this, but this, I'm telling you right now, this is nothing but biology, and there is nothing but biology. Now I'm going to show you on Google Earth because I found some things that I want you to look at. But POV channel, thank you so much. I appreciate being able to show the things, and if I can do anything to help you get your message out, I certainly would. All right, thank you. See this? Look at this. I'm sorry to keep going over and over this, but people just can't even imagine how many layers there was. Even this just one layer has layer after layer after layer, and they all do. Sometimes you don't see it, but they're there, and there's just thousands and thousands of them. Which we know really, I don't think they know anything about in biology. Okay, one last thing before we leave our POV friend here is, he's way down here looking up, look at this. The number of layers is just staggering, and we're going to be way up high looking down, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I would like to see investigated. Okay, I've been checking out Vermilion Cliffs and all these other places, but I came down here, and I'm seeing this is literally arteries and veins and blood and guts, and really it's just a mess down here. So I'm looking down here. That, my friends, is not nothing. It's not nothing. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's an artery. This was an artery. You see how this thing is coming up? And this thing is around it, and it has this cavity around it. Well, that's the way arteries are made. Believe it or not, that you have the central core where the blood comes out. Then you have these little things around the edge of it to block it in. I'm going to show you this. Then the blood leaks out through this area, and it comes out, and it enters into the tissue over here through these layers. All right, so the center is this right here. It comes out, and then it goes into all of the other layers of tissue that surround it and bring all that red blood to all these tissues. Now I'm going to show you some anatomical views. Don't forget what you're seeing here. There's the center. Then you got a ring around there, which is like, I call it bubble wrap. It's just like bubbly around there. And then you got a little more where it leaks from there into the tissue. All right, so remember what you're seeing here. Now let's see if I can produce that for you. Okay, this is what an artery looks like in your body. You got the main flow comes through here. You got these little cleats that go around, and it lets it leak the blood into this area here. And then it leaks it into there, and then it leaks it into here, which lets it flow through the body. So don't forget, there's your main shaft of blood. There's the cleats. This is like sort of a drifting area. And then you have another area here, and then you have going into the body. Now I have I have one artery here that is I don't have this part of it. Just from here in. All right, this is built right into the webbing of the body. This is where all the little blood vessels take off and they head out. Now don't forget, that's the artery. This is another artery. It's the same thing. I'll show you in a second. It's not a pipe that's worn down or anything. And this is the artery that I have here. This one here is almost flawless. But it doesn't have any of this stuff here. It's just removed from the body. Here's the size of it. That's actually blood. Now I broke this piece off, or it's, polished it down so you can actually see what's doing. This is the red blood here, and then it comes out through there, out through here, and then there would have been that little tangly stuff around it. Now, a friend of mine, Phil, out in Arkansas, in Kansas, sent me these pictures. And here, this is the same thing. There's an artery. It has that thing around there, and a little more, and a little more, and then all the way out to the edge. This is that gummy-looking stuff. So he's got that on his. Mine just comes out to here. Now, the one in the, hold on one second. All right, now I would say this artery, which this here is right, this is an artery. I would say this artery fed this whole area through all of these little blood vessels. All right, and then they distributed that blood throughout. Now, again, let's look at this carefully. This is coming straight up. This is the actual blood. That's actually blood. All right, that is blood. Around the edges of the blood is that cleats, which are surround that blood vessel. Then that blood works its way out through the cleats, through this area, and then into the tissue layers, which there's just so many layers, and I keep going on and on and on about the layers, but this is how it works. This is how everything is distributed through the body, is through those layers. All right, so what we're looking at here is this is way down in the guts of some creature. And that's, I believe, where Venus hit Earth, bounced off basically, and at the same time, so much heat was produced that the oceans boiled, they say. That's what it was, that's what the Smithsonian says, for over a year. And it knocked all this stuff down here and splashed glass balls all the way down into South America. This was an impact that was meant to destroy life on Earth. Basically, that's the way I'm seeing it. Now, there's a whole lot more to talk about, especially with Scorbzilla over here. This whole area from the Scorbzilla's nose all the way up to his pincher here is 100% volcanoes now. 100%, everywhere volcanoes. All the way down his tail. All the way down into where this would be his guts and his digestive system and where he poops. And all the way, they're having, I don't know what's going on, whether it's just because he's bloating from increased temperatures. Is there a lot more increased temperatures off the coast of California than there is elsewhere? Maybe that's it, I don't know. But I do know this is Scorbzilla, and his beard is right down in here, and that is Crowley Lake, and that's his beard, and the rest of him runs all the way up the coast, and his tail is here, and there's his Scorbzilla scorpion tail. And when he died, it squirted out all this stuff and just splattered over here. And everywhere along here is volcanoes. And right up here you can see his digestive system. And Mount Spur, which is my last name is Spur, is his rectum. It's just what it is. And I found a plane crash. I thought it could just be a plane flying, so we're not going to worry about that. I got to get rid of that. But this was up in the area of Mount Spur. And there's Mount Spur right there. And here's the poop coming out. And you see this? Every time he poops, poop, 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 poop. That's what it looks like to me. And he is attached to what they call a cloaca. This is the fluid side. And the poop runs into that, and then it drains into Cook Inlet. This is the sphincter muscle. It pinches off the fluids, and they run down and they mix with the poop side. And there's even this green here is some kind of an enzyme or some kind of secretion that lets the fluids flow back in, or lets the fluids flow out, whatever. It's in that organ. And there's Anchorage right over here. And this whole area has been plagued with volcanoes. Now, I'm going to talk about this in the next video, because we also have to talk about all the oil wells and Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl's right there. All right, there he is right there. There's his beards. And he's spitting out here, and all the oil wells that are out here are actually exactly in the shape of a dragon. Like he was spitting at a dragon. I don't know. I'm going to show you. You say what you think. Okay, they all have beards. And this is Scorbzilla. There he is, runs all the way up. There's his shoulder. All the way up to his scorpion tail. And this whole thing is festering with earthquakes now. Something's going on here. Now, right at the tip is his beard. And here's what his beards look like. The black and the red is blood.